Welcome back, Guru Nation. We got another episode of Rage Across the Internet, your very favorite Werewolf the Apocalypse podcast. I'm your host, Porter. To my left, we've got producer Joey.
Hey, guys.
Sitting across the table, we've got Tommy Dixon.
What's up?
And the man who put... Now let it go. And Daniel Tyson. we're going to be friendly today. Daniel Tyson.
Thanks.
It's a special occasion.
Hey, everybody.
You know, it's a big episode of special occasion. We have a special guest with us today.
Okay, who's that?
Well, you already know it. It's weird that you're asking me. But, you know, we have this lovely little interview with Christopher Leland, also known as MrGone. You know, the man when it comes to character sheets.
I love his character sheets.
Absolutely. Chris, you with me? Chris? Oh, shit, he's gone.
Wah.
Done.
You weren't supposed to do that joke, dude. You were not supposed to do that joke.
I don't care. It's my show, is my joke.
Yeah, you're not sorry either.
I am not sorry. No, we actually, I had the opportunity to speak with him earlier on, so it is a pre-recorded interview. But I'm happy with
he's
my
not just gone.
But I'm happy with my joke.
Yes.
With the crickets.
I want to laugh. It's not working. Sorry.
Never liked you at all.
Yeah, I figured.
No, today is our, we're doing an episode on character creation. And of course, if you can't make a character without a sheet, and if you're using sheets that aren't MrGone's, you're already doing it wrong and you're doing your group a disservice.
Yeah.
So we thought, what better opportunity would it be? We're going to mash these up. So normally we do our business, you know, our first 20 minutes of complete nonsense, which is fun for us, and fun or torturous for you, which makes it a different degree of fun for us. but we
That's the truth.
But we thought we'd get right into it today and present the interview. And once we finish with that, we're going to build a character for you guys and the ins and outs of that. So, past Porter, take it away. Hey, thanks, future Porter. I am sitting here with the illustrious MrGone. This is Chris Leland. Everybody, I don't have to tell you this man's contribution to the gaming community. Chris, thank you so much for joining me today.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Now, I know this feels a little... I got to admit, you know, I mentioned your contributions. I mean, I've been using your sheets for, you know, about 20 years. I'm a little bit starstruck here. Please bear with me.
Oh, that's okay. I'm just glad y'all like my stuff.
Well, I think that's quite an understatement. I mean, I think anybody who has seen your posts around the Facebook community, the various Facebook groups out there, I mean, you can see the love that pours in every time you post anything at all. You know, there are character sheets and there are MrGone sheets, and it's fair to say that yours are absolutely they're the Cadillac of character sheets. Thanks.
I try. I'm just glad I've been able to do it for so long and that everybody seems to really enjoy them. So I'm glad I can do it.
Well, you know, that's yeah, it's an understatement. I got to ask you, you know, I mean, you've been a part of the community. It's been about 20 years. I mean, is that's a fair estimate? I know the time kind of flies, but what did you start? How did you get started? You know, I mean, I suppose it's been a long journey to here. What was the thing that began the career of MrGone?
Well, I'd say it probably started, I mean, even before, like, I started doing it, like, for everyone. I started doing it kind of for me, and my gaming group in college. We, you know, would try to, like, photocopy character sheets from the back of the books, which is hard to do when you don't want to ruin your book. So I want to say there might have been some PDFs to download, like, on the internet back then. But we couldn't really do anything with them. So when we wanted, like, I got to the point where it was like, hey, maybe we need to make some of our own. And so it was like, okay, what do we have? What can we work with? What can we use? And my best friend in college had WordPerfect and Paint Shop. And so we would, you know, type out the layout of the character sheet in WordPerfect, and then we would print that out, and then we'd put that paper back in the printer, and then we'd use Paint Shop to give it a fancy border. And that was like the first character sheets I started making were like in WordPerfect.
That is, that's a little impressive. That couldn't have been an easy
Yeah, it's pretty
task.
crazy. I mean, they looked horrible now. Like looking back on it, they're not great. But it was like what we had to work with at the time.
It's more than a little impressive. I guess on
Yeah.
that note, what do you use it today? I guess technology is obviously we've come a long way in the last 2 decades.
Yeah.
What programs are you using today? And I mean, it's got to be how much easier.
It's a lot easier than using WordPerfect for sure. After college, basically my second job out of college, I worked at a school district, and I snagged a copy of Acrobat, probably like Acrobat 4, but I eventually moved over to Acrobat 5. And so I started using that like to kind of edit the White Wolf PDFs they were putting out. And then eventually I kind of figured out like there was no tutorial on the internet at that time for me to figure out how to do it. So it was mostly just me playing around in Acrobat and checking out all the different tools and figuring out what they did. And so that version of Acrobat 5, is what I still use.
No kidding.
Yeah, from like 1999. Like it's like Acrobat 505. That's what I use mostly to build the character sheets. And I usually do all of the forms in Acrobat 5. And then I do have a newer version. I've got Acrobat, I think it's like maybe 2017. And then I use that. I'll resave the character sheets I make in that version of Acrobat so I can enable the option for like the forms to be saved using Acrobat Reader. And then I use that version. I played around with it a little bit when I was doing my 5th edition vampire sheets, where I couldn't decide what style I wanted to use. So I figured out how to do layers in that version. So you've got options you can pick for different layered borders for that one. But yeah, mostly I still use Acrobat 5.
Well, I wouldn't call that new software, but you know what? It's not WordPerfect. That's it's impressive.
It's not WordPerfect. It's definitely better. I mean, it's got its like the end result always makes it worth it. Like sometimes it's kind of a pain to use because I'm using it in a way that it really wasn't designed to be used. So, but the end result is always really good. So that's why I've stuck with it. I've tried like every version of Acrobat that's come out since version 5, and they all work in different ways for the different tools that I use. And so sometimes it's like there's one thing in a version that seems really cool, but then everything else, the way that I like to do it, doesn't work.
Ain't that the way?
So, yeah. So, but it's like I've always thought, like when I was first like doing this like kind of full steam, I thought like, well, eventually it'll hit a point where I can like it'll slow down a little bit, and then I can find something better or use something else. And it's like never slowed down.
Well, you say better, but I think your work speaks for itself.
Or different, or well, yeah. It's worked out pretty good for me so far. So I think the only hitch that I've run into is I had a newish laptop recently that had Windows 10 that I was using for all of my work, and there was an update, like one of the newer like feature updates for Windows 10 finally killed like all of my old software that I used. It just wouldn't work anymore. So I had to dig out an old laptop and fire up Windows 7.
See, that's just commitment.
Yeah.
Now, for those of you out there who have never seen his work or just need a refresher, get that extra sheet or two, you can find what you need at MrGone.RockSolidShells.com. A link to his Patreon is there as well, and if you'd like to show your appreciation that way, I think that's there's certainly no one more deserving than Mr. Gone. And as well, you can find a link to his site directly on ours, which, as you know, is rageacrosstheinternet.com. So don't forget to go over and give Mr. Gone some love. Now, moving from
Thanks,
there.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I try to talk on there about like stuff I'm working on. Like I got a project now I've been kind of posting about on Patreon. So yeah, if you're curious, go check it out.
Do you hear that? Mr. Gaunt says go check it out. Go check it out. So So, Chris, I feel maybe it's a little late to the party to say it, but I know I'm not the first. I certainly won't be the last. So I just want to take that moment on behalf of the entire White Wolf community to thank you for your contributions and your work. These things wouldn't be the same without you.
Yeah, I've been doing it a long time. So, like I said, I'm always just so glad that everybody likes what I'm doing and keeps using them.
Well, I'll tell you, in my groups, and this has been true, I guess, as long as you've been putting them out there. When someone makes a new character, they get a MrGone 4-sheeter, 2 expanded gifts, and an expanded write sheet. Those get printed off on the best cardstock that I can find, full color, and handed over directly. That's the only way we do things here.
Well, that's cool. I like to hear that, especially with the nice paper and all that. That's pretty cool. And I like hearing that you're using the add-on sheets too.
Oh, those are...
Sometimes...
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I'm sometimes never sure, how much those get used. So I always like hearing when people are putting those to some good use.
Oh, here those are flat out mandatory. Before you came along, we used to write the systems, the gifts. We'd have just a sheet of paper we'd write them on, or you'd get the situation where someone forgot to, and it would waylay game a good 20 minutes while they look up a gift that no one knows what it does because no one bothered to write it down.
Yep. That's what we used to do back in the day for you'd have basically just a 1-page character sheet. You'd flip it over and there'd just be a ton of notes on the back and, just scribbled or, we'd have to just write everything in there or write super small on the front or, yeah.
Exactly. It can be detrimental to a game. It can completely destroy the pacing to have someone call up a gift that they've never used before or that, it just no one knows what it does. Yep. So, I got to find it. Oh, what book is it in? What page is it? And you've got all of that covered. Book, page, what does it do? What's the system?
Yep. So you can write some notes and where it's at. So if you got to look it up, at least you've got, somewhere you can go, a note where you can go look it up. So good. Yeah, I like to hear that. I'm glad y'all like those.
Couldn't do without them, honestly.
Yeah, and those all came about the add-on sheets. I mean, it sort of came about from the old White Wolf forums, because that's where I got started. With the website and people asking me to do stuff was on the forums, and then the add-on sheets came about from hey, I need more room for this. What can we do? So then it was well, maybe I can make a page and maybe I can expand that, the little part that's on the character sheet and, maybe we can make it a little bigger and more of it. And so, yeah, that's how it kind of grew.
Now, do you have, is there anything you've always wanted to tackle that you just haven't gotten around to yet or haven't haven't figured it out or anything?
Not really, I guess. I mean, the biggest thing maybe that might be nice to learn is I've seen some people do a few things with interactive PDFs and JavaScript. So they figured out how to write some JavaScript. So it's if you need, on my character sheets, when you fill in the dots, right, you have to just click each one you want. But I've seen a few where you can okay, I need 3 dots of this. And if you just click the 3rd dot, it'll fill in all the ones before it. And I think that's really cool. I just haven't really played around enough to reverse engineer those ones I've seen yet.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. Yeah.
So that might be interesting. The only problem is if I do it, it would just be on ones going forward. I've made so many, the thought of trying to go back and redo those is just I don't want to do it.
Well, you don't want to go through the couple hundred sheets you've made already and retroactively. I can't imagine why not.
I don't want to go through. Yeah, I don't want to go through. 30 gigs of PDFs and redo all of those. But that's something I think might be interesting to do. At one point, I did play around a little bit with that. I made some character sheets for a game called Dungeon Slayer. It's a free, old school dungeon crawl type of game, and I figured out how to get it to do some very minor calculations for that sheet.
I could see that being way more useful in a game, a D&D type game like that, where with the White Wolf system, largely you're adding 5 and 5.
Right. Yeah, you don't have to do a lot of calculations. I mean, there's a few times where it might be nice, but for the most part, you don't really need it for a White Wolf sheet. But the auto fill-in of the dots would be interesting. And I've seen a guy recently too. He did it for for like a 5th edition vampire sheet, he's even figured out how to get like the check boxes to do like multiple states. So like you click it and it would do a slash, and you click it again and it'll do an X, and then you click it and it might do a fill-in. And I'm not sure how he did that. I definitely can't do that with my old version of Acrobat, but maybe I could figure out how to make it work in 17.
And I have little doubt that you'll be able to figure that out. And once you do, you'll put this guy. We're not even going to say his name
I'll start
because he's the enemy.
incorporating
But we're gonna.
It's actually pretty cool. Like I'm pretty impressed with it. So.
Well, it's just a matter of time
But yeah,
before you figure it out, and then you make better ones that he's doing. So there you go.
True. Yeah. There you go. But yeah, that's the one thing. Like for most, I think I've made like all the character sheets like that I would use, and now it's just making character sheets for all the new games, like as they come out and as I have time to work on new stuff. So.
I know with Vampire 5 has happened, and theoretically Werewolf 5 is, I don't want to say just around the corner, but is going to happen at some point.
One of these years, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. But I can't imagine. It's got how does it feel? All these years doing another Get a Fenris sheet. It's another Child of Gaia sheet. Does that get old?
Right. It's a little crazy sometimes, just because I've been doing it so long, and just through like different versions, it was like, because I've done even if we do, for like Werewolf, like 20th anniversary came out, like I made a lot of Werewolf sheets for Revised, and then it was like when we started the 20th anniversary one, it's like, well, here we go again, and it's like sometimes I can't. Like, sometimes I can reuse assets I've used from other character sheets on new ones I'm building, but a lot of the work is, like, when I did the 20th anniversary werewolf sheet, like the main, the one that's in the book, I couldn't really use the one I had before. I basically, because there was a new, because there's a new border graphic and the size of it's just slightly different. So I basically had to, like, rebuild that. And then, like, once I had that all finished, then I could make you can't see me doing air quotes, but like a quote unquote, like a template. And then you make the borders with the logos and everything. You apply that and then save it. So it's like you just have to kind of like rebuild them from scratch almost.
That that definitely sounds like a pain.
So yes. It is like it's easier. Like in some aspects, it's easier. Like I just have basically you have a PDF with no border or graphics, and then I have another PDF that's just the border with the graphics, and then like you paste it in the background for all the pages, and then you make any little tweaks you need to, like with the forms. The form section is probably the biggest one where you've got to change all the pictures behind it and. So it's a little time consuming, but I mean, like it looks good in the end. So, but yeah, it's crazy now because I've done this with Vampire, right? Like I did, when I first started making character sheets on the forums for everybody, it was for Vampire, Revised basically first. And so I did a bunch of Revised stuff, and then I did, all the 20th anniversary stuff. And then, I did all the, like, New World of Darkness Vampire stuff, and now, I've done all the 5th edition Vampire ones, so yeah, it's really weird where it's just like, I don't want to say it feels like I'm doing the same thing over and over, because they're all different in minor ways. I mean, the 5th edition Vampire one is, like, way different than all those other ones, but yeah, it's just weird seeing just how it changes, and, what stays the same and what doesn't, so it's interesting.
Well, I don't get me wrong. I didn't try. I wasn't trying to dissuade you from doing them because I know, once Werewolf 5 comes out, there's going to be a whole lot of people in our digital sept who are going to be right there at your site looking for their new sheets. So,
yeah. As soon as we know, like whatever they're doing with the new Werewolf, I'll work on it. I mean, I think I did. Did they ever do? So, I guess it was around 20th anniversary Vampire, I guess. Was it like By Night Studios did the new LARP for Vampire? And they did a werewolf one, and I worked on it a little bit, I think, but like, I don't even know if that came out. Do we know? Like, I never really got like super into LARP, but...
Yeah, LARP was never my thing either. That's going to have to be... The host of the Werewolf podcast has no idea about the Werewolf LARP. I've failed everybody.
Oh, it's okay.
Everyone
it's no
go home.
I think I think it came out and there was a sheet for it, so I worked on that a little bit. But like I think I did a bunch of like clan vampire sheet, like clan branded vampire sheets for them. But I don't think I did it for werewolf. I think there's just like maybe the main sheet and that's it.
Well, that's a little surprising to me, considering how thorough your library is. You know, if it's a thing you can play in a White Wolf game, there is a sheet for it on this site. You know, on your site. And that again is MrGone.
Yeah, I've got all kinds of crazy like. It's pretty crazy. Yeah, so I've just got like all these little niche things. Like people ask for whatever, and I'll like even recently too. I think there was I did a 20th anniversary character sheet for like a bloodline I'd never even heard of, but it was a thing. It was in one of the books, but I just missed it somehow. I don't know. Like of all the stuff I have, there's always somebody that finds the one thing I don't have.
Oh, of course, right.
So that's always fun too, where they're just like, "Hey, I'm looking for this," and I don't see it, and it's like, "Oh, well, like no one ever asked for that."
Now, I was actually thinking the other day, and I don't know if I should bring this up, but you know, I know we talked about this before. I think you know where I'm going with this, but if I may offer a suggestion that might set the community off on a new path that may drive you nuts. Have you thought about doing overlays for the storyteller screens? Because, you know, at the 20th anniversary lines, they release these beautiful, really sturdy, great screens. And I think I can't be the only storyteller on the planet who hates who can't use half of the information inside of those screens. So yeah, have you thought about doing just like an overlay or something that you could, I don't know, rubber cement on or tape on or whatever onto the inside of that screen with alternate information?
I haven't thought about it, but that's an interesting idea. So yeah, I would be open to it. Like if you or anybody else has some ideas on what you want to see, let me know. Yeah, feel free to like send me a message somewhere or an email. I'll answer just about anything anybody sends me. So
you know, I can verify that. He answered me, so you guys can do anything. Anything is possible.
That's right. So yeah, that might be interesting to do. It's an interesting idea, just to figure out like what is, you know, what info might be needed, like and how to present it in the best way on those pages. Yeah,
because I mean they're gorgeous screens, you know, and maybe I'm the only guy, you know, maybe I'm the only one with this issue, but I look at some of the stuff on there and I'm like, you know, my guys don't throw a lot of stuff. I don't need this huge throwing chart.
Right. Are the insides of those just still kind of replicating like the older screens? Did they add anything new in those, or?
The information fluctuates a bit, but it's just I've never been overly impressed. Work on it'd be cool.
Yeah, we can see what we can do. I can certainly add it to my list.
That is amazing. I mean, thank you for letting me have the suggestion, hearing out the suggestion, but also.
Oh yeah, no problem. I'm always open to suggestions. So, I feel bad sometimes because like I sometimes feel like I can't get to everything. But I always like people emailing me and sending me suggestions and asking me to work on stuff, even if I can't do it or can't get to it or, you know, whatever. But yeah, I never mind people emailing me and asking me for stuff.
What's the most ridiculous request you've gotten, aside from this one?
Let me see. Craziest request. Well, I mean, I guess it would be probably like that. There was I wonder what. I'm drawing a blank on it now, but I think there was, again, it was one of those weird combo ones where somebody needed, you know, like, hey, I needed this/this/this. Oh man, and I'm totally drawing a blank on what it is right now, but it seemed like a crazy combination of stuff. There was like a Fomori in there, and maybe like a changeling or something. It was like a weird combination of things.
How about...
I think I made it.
How about something that you heard and were just like, no, I'm not doing that. I mean, was there anything you flat out refused?
I would say probably like not for like anything White Wolf related, really. But I have had people ask me to make like D&D character sheets or like Pathfinder. I'm just not that familiar with those games, so I don't know them enough to wade into it. But I feel like if were I ever to, then that would open up like this whole huge door of, now people want me to make a ton of stuff for all of those games. So I haven't done those. Like I've done a few minor things for people. Like some people about like, hey, I need a minor tweak to this, or I need a little thing for that, or I really like this one, but it's not interactive. Can you just make it interactive? And I've done some stuff like that. But like I have had people ask me like, hey, can you make a brand new whatever, for D&D or for Pathfinder? And I'm just like, I'm sorry, but I can't do that.
More than fair.
Yeah. Plus, I think there's a few people I've run across that do character sheets for those that do really good, and so I'll just push people like, "Hey, why don't you check out this guy? Like he does this better than me." So
Yeah, that's a little hard to believe. I was talking with one of our mods doing a sound check in prep for this, and we got to talking about your sheets, and while we're talking about your work, I mean, we're doing it by name.
Mm-hmm.
And like the way we were referring to your work is it was almost as if we were saying, like I have a Van Gogh above my fireplace, You're getting these guys going, well, I only use MrGones, so I mean, in that way, you're kind of a brand unto yourself, and that your sheets are definitely a work of art.
Yeah.
Do you see it that way?
I like that. I don't know. I guess I haven't thought about it, but yeah, I guess so. Like, I just try to. I mean, I guess my like unsaid now to be said motto is just, back when I was first doing it, is like I just want to make it. I want it to be like the original. Like I want it to be like the official sheet, but a little better. And like, because I always like the look of those. Like the older White Wolf sheets always looked good, but sometimes just the spread of information or the layout or something just wasn't quite right. So it's like aesthetically, I really like the way it looks, but I want it to be just a little better. So that kind of became my motto. Is like I want to make those, but a little better.
Well, you certainly succeeded on that front. Again, I bring up the gift and the right sheets.
And then there's been, yeah.
I mean, those are absolutely necessary to a game these days. From an organizational standpoint, ease of access standpoint.
Just help, keep track of everything. But yeah, so that's kind of how I see it. And then like there's been times where I've actually got to make the official character sheets, so that's been cool.
Now that is something
I like that experience a lot.
Yeah, that is something I would love for you to go into if you don't mind. I think we'd all love to hear some stories of some of your official endeavors and maybe some behind the scenes stuff. If you got anything you'd like to share.
Well, sure. Yeah. So like I started like on the old White Wolf forums. This is pre, like this is maybe, I don't want to say just before, but a little bit before New World of Darkness started. So it's like I got really big into the, like I dabbled in the forums before, but not a lot. But I got really heavy into them around like 2003 when we moved. My wife and I moved from Texas to Indiana. And so while I was like looking for work, I was like, oh well, let me see what's going on like gaming wise. And so I started getting into the forums, and then somehow I started talking, I don't even know now, but it's just somehow I started talking about character sheets. And so people were like, well, can you make one for me? And I'd be like, okay, sure. And then, hey, you made one for them. Can you make one for me? Yeah. And then like, well, you should make this or you should make that. So it sort of turned into a whole thing. And eventually I started a website, like an old like GeoCities website to start that tells you anything.
Nice.
Yeah. So then that turned into, I had a friend who did web hosting, and he's like, well, hey, why don't you just throw it up on mine? So I moved from GeoCities to like a real like website. And so it grew from there. So then they ended the World of Darkness, and then they, White Wolf, and then they started the new World of Darkness. So all of the things I used to be doing before character sheet wise, that carried over for the new games, where people are like, well, you've made a ton of vampire sheets. Like, are you going to make any for, Requiem? Okay. So I started doing that. Again, this is all in the forums. And then eventually I got contacted by somebody who worked for White Wolf, whose name escapes me at the moment. And I meant to look it up, before we started, and I totally got sidetracked and forgot, so I apologize. But anyway, I got contacted by somebody from White Wolf where they're like, hey, we really like the character sheets you're making. Would it be okay if we hosted them on our website? And I was like, sure, like that would be awesome. To have them as like, on the official White Wolf website. So they were like, well, just send us all the ones you want. And then anytime you do some, just send them my way and we'll host them for you. And I was like, okay, are you sure? Because I do a lot. Like, I make a lot of character sheets. Are you sure? And they're like, oh, yeah, just send us whatever. Well, I think eventually they got tired of that because then they were like, hey, we're just going to give you access, like a login for the website, and then you can just add all the stuff yourself.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, yeah. I was like, oh, well, okay, that's cool. But I had a feeling like they were going to get tired of getting emails, like every day or every other day, like, here's another 5 that I made. Or, because at the time I was just cranking them out for New World of Darkness. Like, because early on, like, those games came out, like, pretty close together. Requiem and Forsaken and all of those.
Yeah, they pushed that New World of Darkness line real hard, real fast. From a staunch Apocalypse player, it was like, hey, if we switch it out real quick, maybe you won't notice.
Yeah, they got it out quick, and then like the games came out like pretty quick together too. Like I think it was like the core one and Vampire came out first, and then it was like not long after that like Werewolf and Mage came out. It was, then they kind of spread things out later, but like they had those kind of ready to go. So for quite a while, I was just cranking those out where people like, well, I need one for this or that. Or, I mean, especially like Requiem too. There were, they came out with like 3 or 4 different Bloodline books just, dedicated to Bloodline. So there was just a ton of them. So anyway, so that was cool. So I got to put them all up. Like I had an official account and I could like add my own stuff. Whatever I wanted to put up there, they were fine with. So that was really cool. I like that.
Well, I mean, it's definitely, I used to, our producer Joey and I, we used to hang out around the old HTML chats back in the day. And so I think we were both pretty familiar with the kind of attention that the White Wolf staff would give the online community back then. You had...
Yeah, it was really cool. Like I talked to a lot of people who worked on books and like, it was really fun.
It was a neat kind of inside access thing, and then so to hear you tell stories of them just going, well, here's just go into our database, just go ahead, just play in our backyard. That's not only is that really cool, but it's kind of unsurprising that they would see your work and go, no, if you want to keep doing it, here you go, here are the keys, just lock up when you leave.
It was really fun, and it's like I kind of felt like I was part like an unofficial, team member or whatever, like, so it was kind of fun to do that. But then of course sadly that website went away, like they shut that down. I'm trying to even remember when that was, but like I was pretty sad about it that was going away. But then that led to when Vampire 20th anniversary was announced. Like they made this big sort of a statement about it where they're like, hey, it's the 20th anniversary coming up and we're going to do this big book, this sort of all, like this all-inclusive edition. And it's going to be like this one last hurrah for Vampire the Masquerade. And so I emailed, I think it was Eddie Webb, because I talked to him quite a bit at that time. And I sent him an email and I'm like, hey, like, what do I need to do to make the character sheet that's going to go in this book? Like, I was like, I don't want to presume, but like, I assume, there's going to be a character sheet in the back of this book. How do I get to do it? And so there were some emails back and forth, but I mean, basically it was like, well, yeah, of course, if you want to do it, that would be good. So I got to work on that.
That seems just so appropriate, though.
It was fun. Like, it was awesome. Although, I do have, like, a sort of a funny side story related to that where I had the character sheet done, like, the main one that was going to go in the book. It was, like, because I did, like, several versions. Like, there were test versions and play test versions. And then, they settled on the final graphics and everything. But so I got the character sheet, I was done with it, and it was off to them, and they were, rolling with it. And I had started, since I had all the assets and everything, I was like, well, I'll start making all of the clan versions and bloodline versions and everything, and that way it'll be ready. Like, when the book comes out, I'll have all these, they'll be ready to roll. And so it's, like, I don't even know, like hundreds, but I'm like, it's hundreds because you've got, like 1 and 2 page and 4 page. And then you've got, like different versions where there was like a lower powered version and a higher powered version of each of those. So it's like it just sort of grew exponentially. But I was about halfway through cranking all of those out when I suddenly, because eventually you kind of get tunnel vision as you're working, you're just copying and pasting and saving. But I was really looking at it and I was like, wait a minute, something seems off. And I had one of the attributes wrong. Like, instead of appearance, I had the New World of... Because I was doing lots of New World of Darkness stuff at that time, too. So I had one of the attributes typed in wrong. Instead of appearance, I think it's composure or whatever. And I was just like, oh, no. So it's like I frantically, fired off emails. Like, I sent an email to Eddie, and I'm like, hey, I think I messed it up. And there's a typo on the character sheet. And he emailed me back, and he's just like, well, the book's already out the door. They're already printing it, so sorry.
So there's that version of it just preserved forever.
So the main one that came out, because they didn't do a there wasn't Kickstarter. It was all just like a pre-order type of system. So all of those original books, the character sheet in the back has a typo. So I think for the print on demand and all that stuff, it's fixed.
Yeah, I was going to say, we live in a world where we can make those kind of revisions later on to the point where that is hilarious and not horrifying.
Right. Oh, I mean, I was just still mortified, though, where I was just like, oh, no, my one shot.
But it's okay now, and it's possible.
Oh, yeah.
That many people didn't realize it until you just pointed it out.
Oh, it's true. Yeah, because, I mean, it's not like anybody's photocopying it out of the back of there or anything. So, but yeah, so I can laugh about it now, but at the time I was mortified. I mean, and then too, I had to go back and fix, I don't even know, 100 character sheets, So I was just like, oh no. But yeah, so that was a whole thing, but I lived through it and it was okay.
Again, it's not maybe surprising, but it's very impressive, to hear all these stories. The idea that you worked on 25 or 20. I don't know why I keep saying 25. It's like there's an extra edition only I know about.
Well, because it's right. Well, V5, and then there was V20, and sometimes it all melds together.
Maybe that's why I do it. Maybe that's how that happens. That sounds like a great excuse, and I'm going to use it. But
there you go.
It's definitely not a surprise that you worked on Vampire
20th, yeah. And I thought that was going to be my one official thing, just because I specifically asked for it. I don't know, maybe if I'd specifically asked for it sooner, maybe I could have done more stuff. But then that led into, 20th anniversary, that wasn't the only 20th anniversary book. They decided that did so well, they were going to keep doing it. So that led into, I did ask to put because they did, I think the first Kickstarter they did was for, the V20 companion. And I asked about putting the full character sheet in there, but they didn't want to do it. So that was fine. But then they did contact me about Werewolf 20th. And so I got to build the sheet for that, which was cool. And I did the 20th anniversary mage sheet. And I did a couple of side ones too. I can't remember if I did Hunters Hunted 2. I don't remember if I built... I want to say I built the official sheet for that one, but now that I'm thinking about it, I'm not for positive. But anyway, in between all of that, I was also doing some of the official character sheets for some of the New World of Darkness stuff. It didn't start off like that. All those early ones were ones they made. But I did kind of some of the later ones, and then when they started doing second editions for those, I did some of those. So it was really cool to work on.
It's, again, it's super cool. And again, not surprising that they would call on, but at the same time, why would they say no?
Yeah.
Let's face it, at that point, you had been so well established.
Yeah.
And I don't think it was, we talked a little bit ago about Werewolf 5. And about how, there are people who, as soon as this book is released, are going to be waiting for the Werewolf 5 extra gift sheets and the extra sheets and the pack charts and all the goodies you have done over the years in the new edition. And everyone, maybe it's ungrateful. Right. Maybe it's ungrateful of the community to just expect it. And if that's the case, I apologize for that because I'm part of that problem. But surely at this point with your reputation.
I'm glad that people look forward to it.
Oh, they definitely do.
Yeah.
But I mean, and you have that reputation
Like I
built
said,
up.
I just try to do. Yeah.
So if I'm White Wolf, why don't I just come to you directly? Why would I say no when I know that you're going to make this sheet anyway, and it's going to be better than what I do if I don't take your help?
Right. Yeah. I don't know. Like I'm not really sure like who's all in charge of the new White Wolf. But like new White Wolf when they were working on V5, I mean, I didn't specifically ask if I could work on it, but no one contacted me about it either. Like, I mean, but maybe like some of the people in charge there, maybe they don't know.
Now that's possible, because as much as
Yeah.
the old White Wolf was part of the community, the original White Wolf, because again, I can think of all sorts of conversations and times talking to guys like Brian
Yeah.
Glass and Chris M and Charles Bailey and I'm not the only one. I want it to be that clear. I'm not saying, hey, look, I'm special. They were very much a part of the community. And I don't know any of these new guys. It's
Yeah,
like
like
they're
some
ghosts.
of the newer ones, like some of the developers and stuff are still like some of the original ones, like but like some of the developers and stuff I think are pretty involved. Like maybe not as much on the forums like they used to be, but I know some of them are, and then like on Twitter and stuff. And like Justin Achille is back working with the new White Wolf, and I know he's like pretty involved again. So
Yeah, I've heard that, and that's definitely a good sign. I mean, I am. Those of you who listen to the show, and it's no surprise that I'm hesitant toward Werewolf 5 in so far as that Werewolf's my game. Obviously, I mean we get the podcast here,
right.
so you feel a
Yeah.
bit of ownership and the need to protect it. Whether that's justified
Yeah.
or not. It's the idea of who are these strangers. Who are these strangers are like hanging around my baby? What are you doing?
Right, who's working on it? Yeah, well, especially like when you've played it so long, and like, I mean, even for me with Vampire, where it was like, I played Vampire since I was in college, like the mid '90s, and like even through all of those editions, like it stayed like pretty similar, and then like the new one that's out is like pretty different, at least to me. Like I haven't really read through the book all the way through. Like I've just sort of skimmed it and just looking for things as I'm making the character sheet. But it just seems a lot different.
Yeah, there are for sure differences. I know that's often a topic of conversation on our Discord, which is a little ironic.
So I'll be kind of curious to see. Yeah, I'll be kind of curious to see like how the new werewolf, like like do they follow in the footsteps of 5th edition Vampire? Like did that lay out rules that they somewhat want to carry over into that one, or are or are they gonna like try something new? Or it'll be interesting to see what they do with it.
That's definitely true, and I think we're all hungry for news on that. Now, you said you've played. I know you haven't played in some time, but especially in college, you were a vampire guy, and now we at
Yep.
the podcast forgive you for that. But
Oh well, thanks.
But there's a question that we generally like to ask folks around the Discord, and this you are our first big interview, so thank you for that. By the way, you get the inaugural hat, and maybe we'll have a bathrobe or something set out. I don't know, it's crazy. But what when you were playing Werewolf, what was your favorite auspice and your favorite tribe?
Okay. So I will say I'll start tribe first. Probably if I had to pick a favorite tribe, I would go Bone Gnars, just because I kind of like the idea of them. It seems sort of like, I don't want to say gritty, but they're kind of like down and dirty, and I kind of like that. If I had to pick a second, I will say Glasswalkers.
All right.
So that's my that's my top 2 for tribe. And then for auspice, I would say, this is gonna sound really funny, but there's, again, I'll do 2. I'll do like the the one I like the best, and then I'll go second. But it's like, I think the one I like the best is maybe like the New Moon.
Okay, the Ragabash.
Because yeah, I kind of like it where it's sort of like I don't want to say rules are made to be broken, but that kind of deal where it's like, well, we'll see. Like if it works, good, but so I kind of like that aspect of it. And then exact opposite of that I like is probably the Gibbous Moon, where it's
Galliard.
sort of like, yeah, which is sort of like keeper of lore and storytelling and all that kind of stuff. So
Well, I'll tell you, This episode is not just this interview with you. You know, which again we have recorded from the past, so there's the figure that time frame stuff out,
Right.
Because we are going to be creating a character from scratch with the remainder of this episode. And so what you have done is you have just revealed the tribe and auspice that the rest of the group has to work with.
Oh, okay, cool.
So, you know, I'll say if nothing else, you heard the
I'll
man,
be excited
guys.
to hear how that turns out.
Yep, Ragabash Bonar.
Cool. Well, I'll be excited to hear how that turns out.
Yeah, that should be a fun time. You know, but,
Yeah.
well, you know, we had that idea of, well, you know, let's actually, you know, create a character live. You know, let's do it real, you know, as real time as we can here. You know, and we thought, well, what?
Yeah.
If we're doing characters, you got to talk sheets, and what better way to link those together,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, there you go. Yeah, it's perfect. I like that. Well, I'm glad I could help a little bit with it. That's fun.
I hope they don't listen to this early, personally.
Right. Oh, yeah, they should be surprised.
You know, like, I know someone has to edit it, but damn.
Right. Yep. Well, hopefully they'll be a little surprised when you do it.
Right. Danny, don't tell Joey. Or Joey, don't tell Danny. I don't care which. You know, I do, though. I have to say, it means so much to me that you could show up on our little werewolf talk joke show here and, you know, give us some insights and some stories.
Yeah, it's fun. I don't get to talk character sheets very often, so it's nice to do it. I'm glad you were interested in it enough to ask, so.
Oh, you kidding? I was actually nervous to reach out. I mean, this is MrGone we're talking to here, but I was thrilled to hear back from you. And you know, you are always welcome on this podcast. Anytime you want, you let us know. I don't care what we could talk about different types of bread. I don't care.
Well, thanks. Yeah, and anytime you want to have me on, just let me know, and I'll see what I can do.
You hear that, everybody? You hear that? He said anytime. Holy shit! This is what we do here.
Yeah.
Again,
Well,
you can find.
yeah, sounds like you guys have fun. So.
It's you know, we definitely do that if nothing else.
Oh, I said, yeah, you got to have fun with it, like especially if it's something you really enjoy.
Well, you know, how could you not have fun? You know, we're talking about vampires and werewolves and like who can do that and not have fun?
Yeah, exactly. Well, then that's what's crazy to think about it too. Is like I've been, you know, sort of like off and on talking and working with, you know, like White Wolf games for a long time, like since the mid '90s. It's crazy.
That is, I don't
Yeah.
Well, I don't like to think about it like that.
Like, cause,
But it implies that we're a certain age.
oh well, yeah. I'm old. I know I'm old.
we don't use that word here. I think you meant to say cold.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Because you could just put a jacket on and fix that.
Yeah. True.
You know,
Yeah. There you go.
I'm cold. I'm just going to turn up the heat and everything's fine.
There you go. That's right. But yeah, it's kind of interesting to think that I've been, you know, like playing these games and talking about them for so long. But it's like, but it didn't start until college, even though I was like super into vampires when I was in high school. But I grew up in this little town in Texas, and like nobody role played, like nobody played any of those games. Like, I mean, we kind of knew what D&D was, but like no one ever played it. And so it was like I was into vampire, you know, of course, like anybody into vampires read Anne Rice, so it's like Anne Rice vampire stuff. But it's like I ran across this book, Vampire the Masquerade, and it's like, what is this? And then like I started reading it, and it's like, oh, like is this a game? Like, what is this? And I started to get into it, but no one that I knew was into it. So it wasn't until college where, you know, I sort of ran across other people that were into that too.
Well, you know, I found that it's a little crazy about that too, is the idea that you never really know. I mean, when we, you know, we're about the same age here, so when we grew up, you know, there was definitely more of a stigma to playing RPGs as there is today.
Right.
You know, I mean, you get the whole satanic panic of the 90s and, you know, just the general culture. You know, I mean, what do they used to say? Every game of D&D you play adds a year to your virginity. It's, you know, stuff like that. It was kind of the culture, you know, and it's gotten a lot better. which
Oh, for sure.
yeah, which is great. Don't get me wrong. There's another way to look at that, but that's not what I'm talking about right now. Is what I am talking about is so you would have people who would actively hide that they're into this kind of stuff, and while things have gotten better, you still have people who will hide that they're into this kind of stuff, and it's shocking to me. Like when we started this podcast, and we look at the numbers, and we try not to obsess over them because we did that early on, and that wasn't great, but.
Right.
you get a little you get focused on the wrong stuff. But what we learned is there are a lot of people that I mean, obviously a lot more people than I ever thought that are into, just because we just cover werewolf. So like we have more listens, and I don't mean this to sound braggy. When we started this, I thought we'd get 20 listeners, and that's the people in the earth that are into werewolf, the 20 of them. If we can get all 20, we're doing fine.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's like, no, there's way more people than that. We have more listeners than that.
Yeah.
And which is surreal.
Yeah, it's surprising.
But
that's how it was with me and character sheets too, where it just started like I really didn't think anybody was going to be like cared all that much about it. But yeah, it's turned into like a whole big thing.
Exactly. Like it's shocking because it's like the opposite of what you're expecting. But then what I found is when we looked at the numbers, we have a lot of people locally, like a lot more listeners locally than I ever would have imagined.
Oh, that's cool.
It really is, but what this does is it begs the question, right? Because, I don't know how they're found. We're not talking about all that. That's not important. The important thing is how many people are out there nearby, like nearby to me right now, nearby to you right now, and you're not aware of it.
Yeah, you just don't know.
I think it's all the more important, especially in this day and age, to just let that flag fly, man. Go like, yeah, man, I play vampire, I play werewolf or whatever, and just see how many people gravitate toward that. You wear your favorite Vampire Clan shirt or something, or gross, because we're a werewolf podcast, so you wear your Bodnar Glyph t-shirt, and see how many people stop and go, yeah, the Bodnars, man, werewolf's awesome. Definitely better than vampire, those dirty leeches.
It's interesting. You just never know, like, who's into it.
Exactly. And I think it's a great way to throw that signal out that, like, hey, man, you looking for a game? And of course, with things, things like COVID, the online community is all the more important. So, moments like this, like right now, there will be people who will listen to this episode because they see your name. And maybe because they do that leads them down that trail where they find a game and they haven't been able to play in 10 years.
Oh, true. Yeah. Maybe it gets them back into it.
Exactly. Maybe you get a phone call, out of the blue. It goes, hey, Chris, remember we used to game back in, hey, we're doing a thing on Discord. Do you want to come play?
There you go. That's true.
Right? How cool would that be?
Yeah, it'd be interesting.
Sorry, I got off on a bit of a tangent there. This is your interview, not mine. What are we doing?
Oh, no, that's okay. I don't mind. Yeah, it's like I said, you never know who's into it, and I'm glad that people are listening and that you get new people into it. Because I also like, too, that it's a little more open now than it used. Although you wouldn't have known that with my gaming group in college, because, I mean, we were all into it. So, and, like, people kept inviting people, and so, like, our group for a hot minute was, like, 20 people.
That's impressive. Our producer, Joey, she LARPed a lot in the day, and she'll tell us stories of these massive get-togethers, and it boggles my mind. It's like what? It's crazy.
Like looking back, I don't know how I did it, because like I ran a lot of games back then. I have no idea how I kept track of it. I mean, and it was like this mixed, like it wasn't even just one supernatural type either. You had people doing vampire and people doing werewolves, and some people were mages, and like so it was this whole mixed group. It just seems like chaos to me now.
That sounds like total chaos. My hat's off to you.
Yeah. I mean, looking back on it, it was fun, but I don't think I could do it now. There's no way.
Well, I think definitely not on that scale. I'd love to sit here and go, well, I could do it. Now, who's got the time for all that? I hate to say it that way. It's just what a commodity time has become. What happens when it gets colder out?
True.
See how we do that?
I hear you. Yeah, I like that.
But But I
Yeah.
believe that's about our time. Again, thank you so much for joining us.
All right.
You guys out there, make sure to
Yeah.
go to the MrGone website. Get your character sheet needs taken care of. See his, he's got his Patreon right there. Make sure you give it a click, give it a look, and if you can, give him some love. He definitely deserves it. That's MrGone.RockSolidShells.com. The link will be in the show notes, as well as on the main page of our own site, RageAcrossTheInternet.com. Chris, I've said it 100 times. Thank you so much. There aren't the right words. I hope to have you back soon. And is there anything you want to leave our audience with?
Just keep using the character sheets. I love it. Reach out to me, talk to me if you got suggestions or questions. I'm always open. I try my best to answer anybody who wants to send me an email or a message. Just as long as you're using the sheets, I'm happy. So I really like hearing that people like them and want to keep using them.
And there you go, everybody. Future Porter, back to you. Remember, that is a Bonar Ragabash. You get the moving. Thanks a lot, Past Porter. And MrGone, thank you again for joining us. I'm sure we'll have him back in the future. Now, that said, before we go on to the mission as it stands, we quickly remind you that while you're checking out MrGone's site, getting your sheets taken care of, and maybe donating to his Patreon, remember that we too have a Patreon. We too are in need of your money. Well,
if you're able,
No,
it would
no,
be
of
nice.
No, of course. I joke around, but yeah. We know how things are these days. Times are tough. If you're in a position where you can, that means the world to us. We have our PayPal for, single-time donations or whatever, but what we really love is that Patreon because we're able to give back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the giving back, that's a bigger deal for us. We like giving back.
That sounds so weird coming from you.
I was gonna say.
I'm fine, whatever.
But it is true. We have with those, we have 3 tiers. That first tier, we have our monthly hangouts where we get together and watch crappy movies and have a couple drinks. And,
That's so fun.
yeah, that's a blast every month.
It's a really good time.
Do a little double feature thing. Then we have our second tier where we are doing postmortems, where we're going through the games that these guys have actually played.
Bonus content.
Yeah, but right now it's the postmortems, though.
Right.
Before it was something else. Now we're doing these postmortems, and that's going to be a while. So I want to mention those.
Yeah.
They seem to be enjoying them.
Right, and I think we had a member who didn't know we were doing the postmortems,
Oh,
and then they changed their pledge.
awesome.
So, those postmortems, we're going through, like, the script I wrote, and it's everyone's perspective on it from a hindsight thing, how they're feeling their technical aspects. It was just kind of a deep dive into the games that they've played, and people seem to enjoy that. And then for our main tier, we have the NPC of the Month Club, where you get an NPC from my Bible once a month.
Crazy.
You're so generous.
Well, it's important to us to give back because we appreciate any help you can give, and if you're in a position where you can, donate some of your hard-earned money, well, it means a lot to us.
Yeah. We like our fans. We're showing our appreciation for your appreciation. So, but speaking of fans, I was speaking to our favorite female Canadian patron, our good friend Melissa. She's even letting me know that her daughter is now listening to our podcast.
That's cool. Okay.
Either way, hey Jade, thanks for listening. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for listening. Hey, you can learn all about Werewolf this way. It can bring families together.
Exactly.
This is what we do here. We bring families together.
Magical powers.
That is the point of this podcast somehow.
Yes.
Crazy road we've gone down.
It's not the weirdest thing that's happened here.
Not the weirdest thing. Thanks for reminding us.
That's for another day.
That's nowhere near the oddest sentence that's come out of somebody's mouth in this fucking room. I'm just saying.
That's true.
Okay, so are we gonna create this character? Or
Yeah,
what?
yeah,
will be
we
fun.
better. Past Porter told us we're on the clock here. So,
And,
Crack the whip.
well, he picked our character for us, essentially.
a little bit. So thanks
have
again to
a-
MrGone.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Gond. We have a Ragabash Bonar to create.
Right. So, because we're not just doing this because MrGone, we had the interview, but also because there's a lot of new people that have shown up lately. With Earthblood coming out, that don't know Werewolf at all, or who have never played Werewolf, don't have that practical experience, and that's a little bit what guided us here to do this tonight.
Okay.
So, not only we're going to create this character quote live here, on the air, and explain the whys and the hows and the what to do. So we have our tribe, we have our auspice. Fine, we can step back to that later.
But it's a starting point.
It is a starting point. So we know this is a city-related character. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be, but I think that sounds good for you guys. City?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Tom, what city?
Let's go with New York.
New York. Excellent. Easy enough. We got the Central Park cairn right there, so let's see what you did. It's good.
Yep.
Okay. Joey, is it a he?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a he.
All right. Okay. So let's take the era. Let's assume this is going to be one of our games, so we're talking mid-90s.
Yep.
Okay.
Agreed.
Fresh character. What do you say? Brand new?
Brand new.
Brand new.
Yeah, makes it easier.
All right. How old, Danny?
Oh, man. How about a 13-year-old runaway?
Okay.
I know that's two answers to that question and wasn't what you asked, but...
How much chess does he play?
Join the Patreon. Figure out what we're talking about.
Yikes. Let's go with none. None chess.
No
No
chess.
chess.
None chess.
Oh, my God.
None chess, none wheelchair bound sisters living in an alley.
Oh.
Okay.
So, yeah, what we do here is now we're going to craft the backstory. Who is this person before they became a Garu? And the earlier the character is set, the more important that is, and the more quickly it becomes irrelevant, which is the fun thing.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's a hell of a sentence, but how much more sense could it actually make? The truest thing there is at this point.
You only have the human you said 13?
Yes.
So those precious few years to build a character. But that character, as they've been built, is going to be broken down by Garu society and remolded into something new.
Fairly quickly.
Exactly. But it's all you have to go on. So it's a small amount of time. It's super important, and it almost immediately becomes irrelevant. But you need the foundation. So, Runaway. Mm-hmm. Now, is this, what do you say, we have an abusive father situation?
That was my first guess.
Yeah, I'll kick this off. We go abusive father, right?
Yep.
The mother is the kid's a one night stand.
Okay.
Mom was out at the bar with her girlfriends or whatever. Maybe she's having trouble with dad. Marriage wasn't going super great or whatever. But she meets this bonar one day. They have a few drinks. One night stand in the bathroom of the bar. She gets knocked up.
Could even be a bonar kinfolk.
Could even be a bonar. In fact, maybe it is a bonar kinfolk. Because of the
More
smell.
likely. Yeah. More likely.
I was wondering how you tying that one.
Well, we make the joke. Not every bonar has to be,
Right.
Gross.
true. They know how to work showers. They know how to clean themselves. Mm-hmm. But it could be a bonar kinfolk. You're right. Maybe it was. Mm-hmm. In fact, boom, there you go. We can do that.
Okay.
So bonar kinfolk and mom have a one-night stand in the bathroom of the bar. Mm-hmm. Davy comes out 9 months later, and we know that Davy is not the dad's son, which leads to the abusive relationship and the shitty home life. How's it sound?
Intriguing.
I like it.
Yeah, and my thing is maybe there's a racial difference between the biological kinfolk father and the married stepfather.
Okay.
So it's provable.
Clearly not his.
Right.
So, higher tensions, and not only that, but also aware of that situation.
Well, it's hard
Is
not
what you're. That's what I'm saying.
it's
That's
right.
what I'm saying.
hard not to be.
Hard not to be aware of that situation. Yeah, that's ooh.
Is it a boy or a girl? It's a black kid.
Or a Caucasian kid.
Or a Caucasian kid.
Either way, it's not what
Right.
the married father, stepfather is.
Well, I think, you know what? We're talking New York. Mm-hmm. I think of Davy. Davy's a white kid.
Okay.
Davy is a white. That's a white kid name.
Yeah.
You show me any other ethnicity who goes by Davy. I dare you. That is a white kid name. That kid is clear. He's so maybe
Translucent.
you can see through him like a baby fish. So maybe it's not
gross.
Davy.
Okay.
All right, maybe it's Juan,
Could be.
Julio.
Sure.
I mean,
Julio.
we're talking. We're talking New York.
Yeah.
We're talking Manhattan.
Early 90s.
Yeah.
Okay, I see where
So-
you're
Makes sense.
So how about Julio?
Julio works.
Sure.
All right, and did not come out. Yeah, so we have that mixed ethnicity.
Yep.
So that's a good touch. Now, he's a ragabash, so he wasn't a fighter.
No.
Did he ever stand up to dad?
If he did, it
I'd say he
was
talked back to his dad a lot.
and got smacked around for
Yep.
it.
Sure.
And I think if he ever did stand up, it was that quiet, like, sugar in the gas tank thing.
Or leaving toys specifically in certain spots for Dad to step on.
Okay, so he's a plotter, this guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, Julio is a plotter.
So I think that brings his mental as a primary,
Okay.
you know.
No, it's a very good point. Very good point.
So that would be his 7 point,
Yeah, for attributes.
Okay.
for the dots.
And I feel like I want to throw his social as a secondary. I feel like probably he learned to make up for the bruises and stuff and kind of make jokes and laugh those off,
Yeah.
Being Manhattan, too, you got to be social. So
right?
big being in a city.
You know, and especially since he's going to be a runaway. Since we've made him a runaway. And he's changing at 13, so he had to run away.
Early.
Yeah, like, I'm going to say, I mean, I don't want to say 12 at the earliest, but 12 at the latest.
12 at the late. I would say between 10 and 12 for sure. No earlier than 10. I mean, I see that being hard for
Yeah,
a
like
young kid.
I'm going to say 12. Yeah, I think maybe 12, maybe he's only been on the streets for like 6 months.
That's about right.
I think anything longer than that is a little unrealistic. I mean, that shit happens, but
No, I think that's how it would be, and then obviously he goes into a change, and a kinfetch brings a bonar to him.
which I don't even think would be hard because if you're in Manhattan,
Probably a lot of those.
yeah, I was going to say throw a stick, you're going to hit a bodar.
Yeah.
Right.
You thought I was going to make a fetch joke. I was not going to make a fetch joke.
Okay, so are we going to talk about his first change, or are we just going to say, you know, he got mugged or something?
What if? Data's got
No,
something.
well, I think I have maybe around the same thought here.
Go for it.
What if he was picked up by like some kind of gang and they're using younger children to maybe infiltrate something, bank robbery, something, distraction, drug deal, anything.
Or to boost a car or something.
Boost a
you know?
car,
Yeah.
something like that. They're using younger children, 12, 13-year-olds, because they're more likely to get away with whatever the problem is if they get caught.
Well, I think it's the less prison time.
Yes.
So, I mean...
I see it as they use the kid as the distraction, get the person out of their car, so you just jump in their car and take it. That
Okay.
kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, something along those lines.
Either way, he's running scams. He's
Yep.
learning to do that. Okay.
Yeah,
But
he's learning the streets that way.
Right.
what if, and let's run this back a second, what if the change was a result, like it already happened, it was a result of Dad coming home drunk one night and going too far with Mom.
I like that.
His
better.
first
like that.
change, he frenzies. Now he's an orphan, which is why he's been on the street for 6 months. Kinfetch, what Kinfetch? Who did a baptism of fire?
Right.
He was a
'Cause
one-night
he was a
stand in
one-night
a
stand,
bathroom
okay.
from a kinfolk.
Yep.
There was no baptism of fire.
Right.
Okay.
That's a better idea.
That,
Scrap
that,
mine.
that looped in way better.
But I mean, that can still work because how's he getting by?
Okay, so combine them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, this is the great thing here is as you do these, you make these characters, sometimes you make these tweaks. What works better than what you originally put down? And look at what we just did there. You know, I mean, we're making it, we're doing a horse by committee and trying to not come out with a camel, and I think it's going to come out pretty well. But so, okay, so if we do it that way, so he's, there is no kinfetch, all right? He's not able to control his change. I mean, he's got whatever handle on it he understands. But he obviously doesn't know who or what he is. He has been working, doing these street scams and shit like that.
Right.
And then maybe that's when push comes to shove.
Okay.
Is either an incident with the cops or, something goes wrong with his little new group. I don't know if I want to use the word gang. I don't know if that matters, but whatever. His little gang. I'm like, he's not a blood, okay? This is not a Bloods or Crips scenario. I
No,
don't
maybe
feel.
he tries to pickpocket the wrong dude.
Okay.
Who
Who is the wrong dude?
I
Well,
don't know.
I don't need his address. I mean,
I think I see where she's going.
is the wrong dude a bone gnawer? Is the wrong dude like a vampire for some reason? Is the wrong dude just a guy?
The wrong dude could be a vampire, and that could, hey, free takeout.
And then there's a bonar watching him the entire time?
No, I wouldn't say watching. I'm just saying in the right place at the right time. And the kid frenzies, obviously takes out the Dracula.
Yep.
And then it's...
Well done.
Thank you.
We got her using it now.
I love it.
Continue. Sorry.
So the kid takes out the vampire, obviously, because he's, mid-frenzy. And that's really all he might know.
And while we're on it, what a surprise.
Yeah.
Because you got, blah, tried to steal my wallet. I will show you. Blah, you're a Krynos. So he's got the element of surprise.
Yes, definitely
Is
the
what I'm
element of
saying.
surprise.
I did not expect this.
And then you've got the Bonar who's down the alleyway.
Here's the commotion. Hey, you're on my turf. Goes to check it out. Says, oh, bad news bears.
Yeah. Exactly.
I love it. And he gets indoctrinated into the tribe.
There you go. Quick,
Look at that.
quick little backstory, but it gives you essentially where we need to go with it.
Exactly. So that already informs the attributes, the abilities. We can do this. So let's start with that.
Okay.
All right. A standard fare, at least in our games, is you don't have any. There are no stats over 3, with the exception of the one attribute that has to be. And we do it that way because there needs to be room for growth. I mean, especially for you new players, I understand the need to want to. Well, I want 5 strength. I want to be the strongest there is. But
You can't grow then.
exactly, there's no growth, and you want to
Can't
keep it
have a 6 strength.
right. I mean, there's a
Yeah,
few.
you can.
There are exceptions to the rule, but by and large, you're not getting a 6 dot strength in Hobbit or your breed form. That's not happening. So you stop at 3. It gives you room for growth. You got to keep in mind is that 3 dots in something is just about the best a human's going to do.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
There are exceptions, but human average, the maximum human average is going to be about 3.
And I said it in a previous episode, still the weakest of all Garu is still going to be stronger than the strongest of man. So even though it's 3, it's still ridiculously strong.
Yeah. Yes. You're still that's still strong.
But okay, so we're working on the strength
Just as the
statistic
example. Sure.
as the example.
As the example, yes.
So our character gets 3 dots in the physical attributes because that's the weakest.
Yes.
So, the way I do it is just 1 dot per attribute.
That's what I've always done. It's not.
Not the greatest.
No, and it's not necessarily always fair.
Right.
But there's a little practicality of the game itself as well.
But then, you've got a 2 strength. We're also talking about a 13-year-old child.
Exactly.
Some kids are stronger. Some kids prioritize that. This kid is not. This kid is prioritizing survival.
Agreed.
So a 2 strength makes sense.
See, I would almost make the argument of going, leaving the strength at 1,
And going to dexterity.
going the dexterity.
Right.
That's what I was looking. I was looking at the sheet, going, I think I put an extra dot in dex.
Let's do it. I'm not allowed to touch pens, so I don't know.
Yeah, he can't.
It's okay. I've already heard Danny clicking his.
I'm not allowed.
Oh, no, Danny. No clicking.
I'm trying not to. I apologize.
You're going to lose your pen privileges as well.
I know. Okay, so we're going for...
2 dex, 1 stamp.
Okay, all right. And that was our, it was 753.
Yep.
So that was the physical.
Let's go to social.
So 5 in social. Charisma, manipulation, and appearance.
Manipulation, I think. Manipulation and...
Only manipulation, charisma, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, would definitely. Especially, being Bonar, I don't see the...
The appearance
Yeah,
going any
appearance
higher?
being-
I don't think Julio needs the...
No, I think he's worried about his appearance.
Nah.
Okay, so you're
So,
thinking
2...
3 in charisma and 2 in manipulation?
I was thinking 2,
I-
2, and
2,
1.
1.
Yeah.
2, 2, 1. So
Yeah.
2 in charisma,
Just because you don't want to exceed 3.
2 in
Yeah.
manipulation,
And then 1 in
1
appearance.
Yep.
Okay.
And
Leaving
then-
the highest 7 in mental, perception, intelligence, and wits. I think that wits is probably going to be pretty higher.
Wits is, I think, the 4.
Yep.
Yep.
That's where I
Okay.
would put the
Completely
4 as
agreed.
well.
Yep.
So 3 in wits. That's his wits is what keeps him
Alive?
surviving. And alive, yeah. Okay.
Perception, I think, would be high.
Yeah, I think intelligence has to be the low man
Yeah.
on the totem pole there because, 12 years old.
Yeah.
On the street. Look.
Yeah, and...
So 2 in perception, 1 in intelligence.
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, there you go. I guess intelligence.
Yeah.
Because we...
So 2 and 2.
Yeah, 2 and 2. Because we don't want any stat other than that 1 to be a 4.
Right.
Agreed.
It's 12 years old for 13 years old for fuck's sake.
Right.
All
You
right.
should be all 1s.
All right. Just so then a quick recap of all that. If people are following along, because if you are, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, you can also rewind if you haven't been.
Yeah, even better.
But go ahead, Danny.
Yeah, physical, their strength is because each one already has 1 in it, correct? So you get the 1 for strength, 3 for dex, and 2 for stamina. Switching over to social, we have 3 in charisma, 3 in manipulation, and 2 in appearance. And the mental, which we picked best because this is what's keeping this guy alive here, Perception 3, intelligence 3, and his wits about him is 4.
Okay.
I like it. Ties into the backstory, and it's a good start.
Yeah.
It is.
So far.
Now we go into abilities.
Yes, which 13 on 5. Mm-hmm. And I feel like maybe skills, talents, knowledges, but that's just my gut.
Yeah, yeah.
Being his age, knowledge should be 5.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
I mean, granted, he's getting street knowledge, but
But again,
But
you
that's
can-
more in.
He's got to grow into that.
yeah,
That's more streetwise.
exactly. Streetwise expression, subterfuge.
Yeah.
and he's learning skills on the street. So yeah, that would be the high one.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's, we said 753 for the attributes. What is it for?
1395.
1395. Mm-hmm. And we said which one was going to be 13?
Skills.
Skills.
Thanks for listening to the podcast.
Well,
Thanks for listening to the guy next to you.
trying to follow along and write this in.
Talents is 9.
Talents
knowledge
9.
is 5.
5.
I got to do that right now. It was live.
Yeah, thanks.
So I
You're
think
welcome.
streetwise should be at least a 3.
Well, I mean, we can't pop 3. So,
Oh, okay.
and that includes freebies, at least in my games. You know, other games may
You
vary.
can't go over 3.
You cannot go over 3 as a starting
So I
character.
think in streetwise it would be a 3
Okay.
I'm at peace with that.
because he has been living
At
on the
least
street.
a dot in stealth. 'cause
Yeah.
Well,
Street.
that's skills though, so let's stay on talents and do the 9.
Oh, we're doing talents first. Sorry.
All right.
Okay.
Subterfuge, I feel that's at least a 2. I'm happy with
Yeah.
the 3 though.
we'll
2 or
start. We'll start with 2
Start with
and
2.
see
2?
where we
Okay.
go.
3? We got 4 more to go.
I mean,
Maybe the
sure, he's
alertness.
fighting a bit on the streets.
Alertness.
I would say maybe the
Um,
alertness because he's got wits and he's also got to keep his head on a swivel.
Yeah.
Being a young
And you
kid.
can't forget athletics because he's got to be running,
Yeah.
running from the cops, running from
Yep.
whoever's stash he stole to sell to the next dealer.
Dot in athletics, probably a dot in brawl, dot in alertness.
Where are we at, Tyson?
That's 8. You got 1
One
in
more.
alertness, 1 in athletics, 1 in brawl, 3 in streetwise, and 2 in subterfuge. We need 1 more.
Maybe a dot in intimidation.
I don't know. As a 13-year-old kid, I wouldn't.
Yeah, I
think
don't
that-
Yeah.
feel. Well, that's got to be a big fucking kid, man.
It could be.
I say maybe we double it up on either the alertness or the athletics.
Joey, Tom,
Athletics.
Athletics. Yeah.
there it is.
Okay.
So again, what we're doing here is we're trying to build to what the character should be, not toward what the best stats would be.
Right.
Because here,
Right.
here it is, folks. If you want to play that game, we're doing this all wrong.
No, we haven't opened the book. We haven't looked at gifts. We haven't done anything.
Right.
We're not building it around gifts. We're
No.
building it around
No.
that backstory. That
Yeah,
we
Yeah,
just
building
who is
the
this
character.
person?
Yep.
Exactly. Who is the person we're creating? Not what can they do, because we haven't decided that yet.
To the point, the fact that we know the auspice
Mm-hmm.
is neat, but completely irrelevant to this point.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Almost like we should have saved that until now, but then you wouldn't hear the interview.
Yeah, that'd be weird. we're going to take a break during this and then go to the interview.
No.
Okay.
Just derail everything.
So now we have the 13 for skills. And Tom says we kind of put them up a little bit in stealth, huh?
At least a dot or two. I mean, you're running the streets.
It started with a dot. I
Yeah.
mean, he's not Solid Snake, but...
I'm not saying that.
No, I know.
But I mean, he's ducking through alleys and when he's trying to avoid the cops.
We'll start with one. We'll see what
Yeah,
it
no,
looks
that's what I'm
like.
saying. At least a dot in it.
I'm cool with
Let's
it.
see what we grow into over here.
Maybe dot in melee
I think survival as well.
and survival.
But survival is more about it's living off the land. It's your
There's dumpsters to live off.
Well, I understand that, and I was going to get to that point, but survival isn't just being some weirdo army ranger person.
Okay.
It's like being in the woods and knowing that you can use this plant for this and how to start a fire.
But you're limiting survival to just the woods. I mean, you still got to survive the city.
Yeah.
There's still things you could use there, like being able to know what dumpster to go to, maybe, or how to not get hit by a taxi because they drive like crazy.
Bike messengers.
Bike messengers. I mean, there's still
Yeah.
an element of survival in the city. Just
Yeah, we
it's
are-
completely different than being in the woods.
And the hypothermia works both places.
Right. You
So-
still got to find somewhere nice to a nice stoop to go rest on that's going to be blocking from the wind, and you still got to know this. There's still survivability.
Yeah, which trash fire won't you get your ass kicked at? No, I'm with you. It's not just for the wild man of the forest.
Okay. Okay.
It's predominantly geared toward the wild man of the forest. Yes.
Yes, it is.
But we're not arguing that.
So we're going to look at the suburban forest.
The,
Yeah, there you
the
go.
urban jungle,
Or even
if you will.
All right. So
So a dot, I'd say a dot in survival.
well, you only want a dot.
We're starting with a
I
dot.
say we got 11 to go.
Let's go
so-
through everyone. So next is what? Performance? Let's just go up the list.
All right,
Since we're
go up
starting
the
from the
list.
bottom. Just go up the
Sure.
list.
Yeah.
Yeah, performance.
You're gonna have to.
Put one in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, at
Okay.
least one.
You know, whether that's running a game of 3-card Monte or,
Oh, I like that. I can see that happening.
you know,
Or the cups thing. 3 cups with a ball in it.
you
I mean,
know.
it's
Yeah.
essentially the same game, but yeah.
But I mean, that's the thing. You know, you gotta
Well-
talk a good game.
Well, yeah, and it's not just talking a good game. It's talking to the other people of the street. And that bit of performance can take the spot of the intimidation.
Yeah.
No, I
Good
like
call.
it. And that
Good
makes
call.
sense when we're putting all those points in wits. So,
Also, what if he found a pan flute in a dumpster and he's just into that?
Okay, there you go.
That wasn't. Don't take that seriously. That was a terrible suggestion. I said a pan flute,
It's a recorder.
not like a
he
harmonica
he
or
found a
a
recorder in there.
kazoo.
Oh, because it was even better.
Ooh,
I'd stop and listen.
weirdo. All right, going up the list then. Melee.
no.
Well, we
it's tough.
already established he's not going to be much of a fighter. I mean, he's going to be Garu, so he's a fighter, but like that's not.
Sure,
his,
he's used his fist a time or two, but I'm not
But
saying
that's
he's-
brawl.
But that's
brawl.
that's what I'm saying. That's brawl. That's not melee.
This
so.
is every street kid has, a switchblade of some sort.
Or a knife they pulled out of a dumpster or something.
Yeah.
I feel like one wouldn't be.
Yeah, one wouldn't be bad.
but
One's
nothing-
not harmful.
But yeah, no,
But we're not going any higher than
No,
that.
nothing
Okay.
higher than one. That's ridiculous.
yeah, every street kid's got a boot knife.
Maybe he found a couple of foils in a dumpster and he learned fencing. You know,
No.
Well, no, exactly. No.
Nothing
higher than one.
Eh, there's
He's
pocket
got a
knife, I'm
steak
guaranteed.
knife
Yeah.
in his boot.
Oh yeah, at least a steak knife.
And we still got 9 to go, but we're going up the next on the list to larceny, and I think we should double that one.
I think.
Yeah,
I almost want to take that sumbitch to 3.
I'm not even arguing that point.
right.
Go right to 3, huh?
Yeah.
We're jumping.
Now,
that
does larceny cover like breaking and entering,
one. I would think so.
or is it just the act of stealing?
I think it would cover parts of breaking and entering.
Because-
that's not just one thing.
No, it's two things: breaking and entering.
See, you got them both.
But like breaking in to an unused, either business establishment or, an unoccupied apartment or house to crash in and get out of the snow in the wintertime, or you know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, and then, we're also looking at stuff like picking a pocket, which,
Yeah.
Yeah, that needs to be 3.
Okay. Next, if we're going up the list, would be firearms.
no.
No.
Yeah, we're
not
gonna
a
keep
dot
that
in
at
there
0.
all.
No.
All right, I've agreed. Etiquette, probably saying it a 0 as well.
No.
No,
I
you
would
don't think
put a
so?
1 because he's been trying to dodge his abusive father. So there's a level of manners and keeping the peace in that, like learning how to behave.
Okay.
I'll
I'll see that. I'll see
Sure.
a onesie in that. Or I'll see that in a onesie.
Ew.
Whoa.
gross.
That was for you guys, honestly.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
How about drive?
No.
He's
No,
13.
Yeah.
He's 13,
Exactly.
he's in Manhattan.
You don't need to drive.
Yeah, right. I don't think anyone in Manhattan has any points to drive.
Right?
Wow.
Spend some time there. You'll know what I'm talking about.
Any Manhattan listeners?
We're sorry.
Sorry.
Do better on the road.
I don't
Sorry about your
try to
traffic.
park a car there. No thanks.
Well,
Why do you have a car there?
Exactly.
Use the subway, you creep.
Or get a taxi.
okay, crafts.
I don't know. How many do we have left? How many
One
do
more
we have?
after this.
We have one more skill set, but we still have
How many dats?
5 more points to use up.
Okay.
Well, we can revisit other ones.
yeah, oh
Just-
yeah.
And we're going to have to. We only got one
Right.
more skill to look at.
Okay. Let's move on from crafts right now.
We'll go back to that.
The next is animal kin. Animal kin.
0.
Yeah.
City raised, I mean. He's going to see a dog, maybe a cat, some pigeons.
Right.
I
And, you never know. He might, want to feed the stray animals or help him out.
We didn't write it in the backstory, but
But we can
yeah,
modify as necessary. Maybe he's got an affinity for the local rats.
Oh,
maybe
there
he's
you go.
maybe he's got a pet rat. Mm-hmm. And I'm using the air quotes there. Obviously does have like a cage and a fucking bottle of water for him, but
it's Ratatouille. He's cooking for him.
And I was like, yeah, he gave him some of the food that he scammed from that Italian place one day, and the rat keeps showing up. But no, this is my pet one because I can't keep seeing him.
All right, so one for Animal Ken.
Throw that
Yep.
into the backstory as well, then.
Look at that.
There you
It's
go.
building it. Why? Because we don't live in Cardboard Town.
Right.
You don't make a two-dimensional character. You make a real person. You go out of your way to do that.
All right, then we have 4 more points to use up. What do we want to revisit, and do we want to add any other possible skill sets? Little option, the blank
Oh, the
option.
write-in. Yeah. I don't want to sift through the book to look at the write-in options,
Yeah,
Right.
personally.
Stick to the basics.
Yeah.
Just for the sake of ease. If you're doing if you're making a character, maybe check out the write-in options. Do that but we don't want to.
So how many we got left? 4?
We have 4 more points to use up. I think we should
A dot
revisit
performance,
back. We revisit
another dot in
survival, stealth, performance, and melee.
Those would
Survival, stealth, performance,
be the 4. And
def.
melee.
I
I
don't
don't
like
want the melee.
Yeah.
I don't want another dot in melee either.
Oh, great.
No.
Okay. Well, then I just put 1 in survival. So 3 more to use up.
I mean, maybe we put a dot in drive because that means you can pilot an automatic car. Like, you know which pedal to push.
If he's been he's been boosting cars probably.
Yeah.
So
No, I'll give him that.
okay,
Yeah.
so that dot and drive makes sense now.
And that settles that then.
Yeah.
We have 2 more to use up.
Well, the
2
dot
more
and
points.
performance.
Okay, so
Because
performance.
he's obviously doing street shows to make some money.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. 1 more use. 1 more point.
Well, so we had that all done. This
Yeah, it was
stealth, survival,
performance.
performance.
Oh, he didn't add the dot.
Oh, you didn't have
stuff.
the ended on
Yeah.
stealth.
1 more in stealth.
Yeah.
Got it. 13. We skip over to knowledges.
5 dots.
Law, computers,
Yes.
occult, and rituals. Send it.
Are you serious?
Not at all.
Okay.
But I love the looks at the beginning.
Yes.
Yeah, only we were actually recording this
I was like,
on video.
I can't tell if he's sarcastic.
No,
Most times I can
think,
tell if he's sarcastic. Most times.
I think he might
He made the
have.
dot in law
Yeah.
because he's running from the law a lot, and he needs to know what he's doing bad.
He knows which laws he's breaking.
And hey, maybe Dad was a cop.
Ooh,
Real dad or
no, stepdad.
stepdad?
A fake dad.
Fake dad.
Okay.
Drunk dead dad.
Drunk dead. yeah,
That
okay,
makes
now.
sense. Yeah.
Okay.
I like that.
So 1 in law. 4 to go.
You get some by osmosis that way, and that can add some extra complications for his background.
Being city folk, I'd say there'd be a dot in technology. He's surrounded by it.
Sure.
Yeah.
3.
Some of the kid can't work a Game Boy.
Right.
Right.
Or a payphone, anything.
Dude, if you can't work a payphone,
I can't help
Sometimes you
you.
don't got a 35 cents.
well, that's one thing. That's about being broke.
I'm happy I remembered how much
Do
it
we want
was.
to go up from the list again? So technology, we just put 1 in. We can go for science.
No.
All right. Rituals?
Nope.
No.
Nope. Occult.
He's also a Satanist.
Right.
Okay, so no. Medicine.
I'm leaning.
I'm
aggressively
leaning
toward
on no, but we could come back to that.
we
Okay.
need to revisit that one.
Like a 13-year-old boy can work a Band-Aid, but that does not equal a dot in medicine.
No.
Agreed.
But put a pin in that. Keep going.
got the dot in law.
We got the 1 in law. Investigation.
Maybe.
I lean toward a 1 for the curious nature of the.
Well,
Yeah.
he was around his stepfather, who was a cop too. So
Right.
All right.
I could see leaning into
So
1 on that one.
1 in investigation then.
Because when he was a younger
Yeah.
Yeah.
toddler, he was probably always curious about his dad.
Yeah.
Enigmas.
Puzzles? I mean,
It feels a little high end to me for this kid.
no, but think about it. He's digging through the trash can. He's finding the crossword puzzles. He's finding the Sudokus. He's finding, and you need something to keep busy.
So you think Julio's got like himself a Rubik's Cube that he fucks around with on his off time?
Yeah, or the Sudoku.
I mean, I could see the crossword for sure. I mean, how many newspapers are you going to find in the dumpster? A lot.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound right to me. What about the recycling?
In New
This is
York.
early 90s. I don't think they were
In the
recycling
world of
that
darkness.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 1 for enigmas then.
Sure.
Okay.
much. Because I know there's not going to be a dot in academics.
Or
for sure.
computers.
Computers. Early 90s, it's hard to do computers.
Okay. So then we revisit the ones we already have in.
Well,
and
we only
that's
got 1 dot left to give, so
Yeah, either enigmas, investigation, law, or technology.
Technology or investigation would be my,
I'd lean more towards technology, dude. It's city.
yeah. And again, Game Boys.
Going by your local Radio Shack just to even look, TVs and stuff in the windows. And
I think investigation would be more interesting, but you guys have me outvoted, so I'll go with you guys.
Okay.
Okay, investigation it is.
you missed that one.
I love that.
That's
nice.
fine. Nope, that's what it is.
Yeah, all
I'm
right.
just kidding.
Okay.
He put it in pen.
He put it in
I
pen.
could
It's not
cross it
coming
out.
back.
Don't put
Don't.
shit in pen. Also,
Don't.
pro tip.
Yes,
Yeah.
pro
Yeah,
tip.
pro tip,
Use a
well.
pencil.
Pro tip, tape your sheet.
Expect yes.
Wow,
Yes.
Tape
that-
your sheet on the health levels for sure, and on obviously your rage.
Rage, gnosis, willpower. Just a piece of scotch right over that.
Yep.
Makes it easy to
It
erase
protects-
without leaving
protects.
those marks.
All right. So, technology it was, not investigation.
No, I it's like, all right.
Okay. Next section.
Next, well, we're going advantages, and that's the backgrounds and gifts.
Okay. Well, I may have an unpopular opinion, but I say no gifts.
Not yet.
He hasn't learned them. He hasn't had any education.
Well, if we're picking up from that moment, technically he doesn't have them yet, but
Do you want to pick them and have him not be able to access them?
I see what you're doing there. I mean,
When we get to the point of where are you starting with this character, that's where you're getting to right now. Is how is the storyteller going to start your character at this point?
and at that point it's a conversation with the storyteller, and I'm getting that look right now, like, well, you're the storyteller, asshole, so come on.
Yeah, why haven't you figured it out yet? Jeez.
Well, normally I would have you pick your gifts and start that way, but that's a personal preference.
Okay.
And storyteller management, very gay. You're giving me that look, but I think for the sake of today, we won't do gifts.
Okay.
That's not hard to do. It's the sections. You pick the gifts. You take Master of Fire if you're Hamid.
I'd argue
Abe-
that, but
Apecraft blessing,
yes,
but
Crest blessing.
You take Master of Fire if you're Hamid, because that's the good one. And
moving on to
then you go down your auspice and trap. It's no big deal.
yeah.
But so I guess we're gonna real quick. We'll do the backgrounds.
Yeah.
I want no fetish. I'm calling dibs on no fetish for this man.
And
That's
because
silly.
First change,
Yeah,
You're playing it
first
at first
change.
change, no fetishes.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
and because he's a bone gnar, no resources.
No, definitely no resources. He's living on the street.
And I mean, I would say contacts
Oh,
or
for sure.
allies.
Yep.
I'd
You
give
know.
him at least contacts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Contacts. How many do they get for backgrounds?
They get 5 in backgrounds.
Okay.
And I'd also like allies on that list.
Yep,
I agree.
I agree as
Okay.
well.
Are those only 2 we're giving them, and we split that 3 and 2?
Maybe 2 and 2.
I'm thinking 2 and 2,
Okay.
and then Spirit Heritage could be fun, but yeah, pure breed we're laughing at.
Right.
It's the Bonar, yeah.
What are some other backgrounds?
Well, there's obviously resources. We've got fetishes. We've got allies and
Mentor.
contacts. Mentor.
Mentor. I like that.
You
There
could
we
do
go.
a dot mentor.
So
Yeah.
we got mentor.
So the other Bonar who just happened to be in the right place at the right time
Yeah.
just happens, you know what? Kid ain't surviving without me. He's made it this far, but only barely.
Yeah. No, I like that. Take him under his wing.
And there's I mean, obviously there are other things to do. You could do merits and flaws. Mm-hmm. You could talk over the gifts, but I mean, we're not doing that today.
Right.
Right.
So really, there's just one thing left that's like important, and that's the character's name. How would you feel about Julio Trashmouth?
Oh, whoa.
I like it.
I'm
Because he's a trash
Yeah.
talker?
Yeah, because he's
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
he's
and he's
let
given the
his
name
feet-
by his mentor,
right.
who
He's a
just
rag
happens
bag.
to
He's
yeah.
always talking trash. He's quick on his feet.
That
Yeah.
ties in with the regular.
He just happens to be impressed by, like, look, you've survived this long, and I see barely, but, like, that's why. That trash mouth of yours.
I like it.
Boom.
There we go.
Julio Trashmouth, the Ragabash Bonar,
Welcome to the Sept of the Green, buddy.
and thank you, MrGone.
Yes, that is, by the way, MrGone sheet we used.
No, we
It's
wouldn't
not good
use
paper.
anything else.
It's not good paper, but we're not keeping this character. And Danny used pen.
I didn't have pencil.
Also, when you
Okay.
print up his sheets, use some good cardstock.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. But that's about gonna do it for today. Try to keep this at our usual length there. I want to thank you again for tuning in. anything you can do to spread the word would be very much appreciated. Give us those 5 stars. You know about our Patreon. You know about our PayPal and all that. On behalf of everyone here at the Scepter to the Sweet Summer Rain, thank you for tuning in. See you next time. Keep howling.